Hello, and welcome to our study proposal. It's entitled Epidemiological Investigation of Combat-Related PTSD in Active Duty, Reserve, and Separated U.S. Military Service Members. Before we delve into the whole proposal, let's take a macro view of our study. The U.S. has been at war for the last 10 years, a whole decade. Those who fight these wars have both physical and mental wounds. One of these wounds is post-traumatic stress syndrome, known as PTSD. It's terrible. And it's not like a broken arm. It's most times much more difficult to diagnose. There are many tools out there to help in finding those with this condition. We are working to use a combination of those available tools to help comprise a snapshot of a very big picture. This picture is super complicated, and it will require all sorts of special photography skills to be crystal clear. This very big picture has different focal points in it, such as how many military men and women in all the different branches, all those active, reserve, and separated, suffer from PTSD? What are their common characteristics? Are they more affected by drugs, domestic violence, depression? We have some general ideas about what this very big picture will look like. Well, at least what certain portions of the photo will look like. Many others have taken it before, so we hope to use these photography skills to make an even clearer picture that might help people see more and, in turn, be able to do more to change what's in the picture. Now, those of you who know a bit about epidemiology know that's a super broad scope. So remember, that was the macro view. So now let's get more serious. Turn to the specifics and take a micro view of the study. We'll start our journey with the background section, which houses the significance and innovation aspects of this study. So we'll start with significance. Prevalence estimates of PTSD in the military and ex-military population range between 5 and 20%. That's hundreds of thousands of heroes suffering in the dark caves of PTSD. It's also becoming a more significant issue as the Operation Iraqi Freedom, OIF, and/or Operation Enduring Freedom, OEF, efforts draw down. The U.S. military needs to know how many are affected, especially since it's the leading cause of discharge from active duty. PTSD is also very expensive. As of 2006, disability payments related to PTSD totaled $4.3 billion. PTSD is a complicated condition that has changed in definition over the years and has many risk factors. Identifying things that contribute to military members getting PTSD is very important. This study will have some barriers. One of the bigger ones will be getting the right mix of military service members to represent in the sample we plan to survey. And another will be how to get the accurate information we need from them. Overcoming these barriers is worth it. Getting this snapshot right will help to determine where money goes, not to mention all the other important resources that need to be pointed in the right direction. With keen eyes, we'll be looking for some very specific things. We want to narrow down that wide range of prevalence, then look at the factors that contribute to PTSD appearance. We want to see how many of these PTSD folks also have drug, drinking, domestic violence, and depression issues. We want to help people see how serious this is now, so that they might be better apt to deal with it in the future. We are going to try and use some bright new ways to gather the data we need. We will combine the best tools we could find, let go of the ones that didn't work so well, and use what we have left to reach all the different branches of all the different trees in view. We're going to give service members a chance to take an online survey at kiosks. This will help increase the number of folks we want to reach, and therefore, we get more data. Our snapshot, quote, cross-sectional study, quote, will use zip codes the DoD will provide us, and then we get to do some cluster sampling to figure out where to place these kiosks. They will go in BXs, PXs, VA medical centers, and community-based health centers. Each kiosk will stay in place for 45 days. Our goal is to reach 6,762 folks. Our ethical safeguards include making sure the tools we're using have been used before and are safe. We will ask for all our tools and toolbox to be inspected before we begin by the Internal Review Board. So, these 6,742 folks will need to have certain things in common. They all have to be at least 18 years old. They all have to be service members. They can be active duty, reserve, or separated. They all need to speak English, and they have to be able to provide a written consent. Once they are eligible and consent to the survey, data will be collected through Qualtrics, an online survey tool from our toolbox. When folks are done with painting their part of the data picture, they will be provided with the option to collect a $20 gift certificate. So let's talk about tools. What tools do we have in our toolbox? Well, we have many. Let's start with the PCL-M, or PTSD checklist for the military, which has 17 questions to check for PTSD. Next, we have the CES, or Combat Exposure Scale, which has 7 questions to look at wartime stressors. There's the Demographics and Military Service Characteristics form, which gathers race, gender, age, and military rank information. There's the BDI-SF, or Beck's Depression Inventory short form. It has 10 items looking at depression. There's the Intimate Partner Violence computer-based scale that has 6 items about intimate partner violence. We have the CAGE, which stands for Cut Down, Annoyed, Guilty, and Eye Opener. It's a 4-item tool that looks at alcohol use. And then there's the CAGE Aid, which is adopted to include drugs and also has 4 items. So once we have all this data, how do we analyze it all? We will create summary tables to describe the study population. Based on PTSD screening, we'll assess differences in variables using special tests. We will gather up new prevalence estimates and see if they are meaningfully important. We anticipate some problem issues while taking this big picture. Setting up and maintaining these kiosks may prove to be difficult. In addition, we are surveying people, and people sometimes provide incorrect data. We do have backup plans for these different scenarios, but we will save those photography skills for later if and when they are necessary. So, now that we've looked at the micro view, let's pan back out to the macro view. PTSD is horrible. We have been at war for a long time now, and over 2.3 million service members have gone overseas. Many of them may have PTSD. We need to know. We will use the tools we have in our toolbox to help get a snapshot picture of how many people do. We will see what they might have in common, and how many might also suffer from drug problems, depression, and domestic violence. Our snapshot may help clear the fog from previous pictures and help with important policy decisions and future research. Thank you all so much for listening to our proposal.